Welcome to Everyday Enchantment, the podcast that's like having your own intuitive life coach on speed dial, with bites of wisdom you can play with today and real life stories of leaps of faith that will inspire you to take your own. Greetings and welcome to, I cannot believe we are doing this, but we are doing a live kickoff episode for season 3. I can't even believe it is season 3. This is incredible. Thank you all for being such a big and powerful part of this creative endeavor of mine. As many of you know, I started this and stopped it and started this and stopped it. And now here we are going into we're going to be working on 100 episodes in season 3. So I just am absolutely floored. Today, we're going to be joined by the most amazing creative muse on the planet, Richard Wilmore of Make Your Day Richard. He's going to pop in here in a minute. We're going to talk about all the really cool things that are coming. Rich has pushed me out of my comfort zone to do coaching with real clients, real people, as episodes for season 3. So we've been already recording and we're going to talk about that and how that's going and why we're doing this, because that's a really important question too, and all the other cool surprises we have along the way. Plus, as we've been doing this, Rich and I both have been elevating and changing our art and our business in the last, couple months, year. It's been a process. So we're going to talk about how do you elevate something, whether it's your art, your business, your life, without complete exhaustion. We're going to give you all the really short, easy ways to implement right now today so that you're not burning yourself out in the process, and it's a lot more fun. So welcome, Richard Wilmore, to the show today. Jump on in here, my beautiful friend.
Jump on in.
Jump on in. Now, I am going to say to you, just because we're live, it's telling me that it's having trouble streaming to one of my destinations, which is my Facebook group. So should I remove? What should I just
we can
or remove?
Is it possible to stream? This is my problem, Facebook, if you're listening. That Facebook removed being able to stream to your groups for some reason. So that makes me a little nervous. So we might have to look at that. I don't know if we'll be able to fix it here or not.
Okay.
Unless we want to take the time to go on your Facebook and troubleshoot.
I doubt we want to do that right now.
People might be interested for their own stuff. I don't know.
They might be. Yeah. So just leave it be. Don't hit edit or remove. Just leave it.
Yeah, you can leave it. It's just not on your group. So people on the group are hopefully jumping over to your other page.
Hopefully. Come on over to Stacey Andon. Yeah. Oh, and I'm on YouTube, hopefully, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes, you are. That's working.
All right. So I want to talk about, first of all, any artist. Well, we're all artists. We're all doing creative things on this planet, whether we have a podcast, whether we're getting dressed in the morning, whether we are living in the corporate world or we are an entrepreneur. We are out making our way in the world with our own magic. And I think that, I don't know about you, but I've been feeling this kind of elevation, this expansion. 18 months maybe is when it started to really knock at my door and say, okay, everything you've already created is about to change. So hold on, Buttercup.
Get ready.
Which, it's one thing to know ahead of time, because I know you've made a lot of changes too. It's one thing to know it's coming. It's a whole nother thing to navigate through it.
Yes. And prepare. And then once you're in it, then you're like, well, now I have to go through it. But I think that's the important part, is just going through it. Totally. Good or bad. However it's going to turn out is how it's going to turn out. But it's that first leap. Like you always talk about the leap of faith. It's that leap of just press start and just see what happens. And that's, I don't know.
And freak out in the process.
Yeah. You freak out. I've got all kinds of noise in my ear right now because I've gotten a new setup and it's not working how I want it. But here we are,
Okay. All right. So let's talk first and foremost, for those who do not know, that you are the mastermind behind all my creative endeavors. And I do want to tell the story again, that when I came to you about a podcast, which was at least
5 years ago.
Well, I'm not that old, so maybe only
that's
like,
true. That's
yeah.
true.
So I know it was at least 5 years ago because it was before my mother died when I first decided I was going to do this. And I know I'm coming up on her 5-year anniversary this year. So I said to you, I want to do a podcast. Everybody had said to me, Stace, do a podcast. This would be great. This would be great, right? Everybody's in your ear telling you to do something, which I think we can feel a lot of pressure when we're, it's like, oh, you'd be great at this. Why aren't you doing this already? And then we go and try to make it happen. At least that's what I tried to do. And as you know, because you are part of this story, me making it happen fell crashing around me twice, not even once. The first time was right before my mother died. And then the second time I tried, we were really, really close again. But there was something in me that said, Stace, pull back a bit, take a breath, don't do it. I think it's really hard, especially if you're in these throes of like scrapping everything that you've already created and doing something new or starting a new something altogether, to trust that voice that says, you're almost at the finish line. No, wait, time out. Stop. I was so worried people would be like, what the hell is she doing? She keeps saying she's going to do something. And again, nobody's paying attention to what I'm doing. But in my head, I'm thinking everybody's just walking around judging Stacey Andon as a colossal failure.
And just waiting, right? Like when I remember my fashion truck, I had that and I worked on it for like 8 months before I went out. And it was life consuming. It like everything revolved around that. And then I went out and I was like, where is everybody? They should be so excited.
Wait, there's not a parade here for me?
Right. And I should be in my fashion truck doing the first thing in the parade. But it's also like it took me a long time to turn the anxiety over something of all of those things into the excitement of it and figuring out what the difference is in those two things, and not being afraid of what you don't know is going to happen, and just being excited about all the prep work you've done and all the things you should know. But I mean, in hindsight, I think you started it at the right time. Like we would get so close sometimes, so close, and you were like, no, I'm not ready. I'm going to do something else instead. I was like, okay.
And you know what I think is interesting, because, I think a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people just creating things, we kind of jam ourselves across a ledge or a leap, right? And we're like, oh, don't worry about our nervous system. Don't worry about all that anxiety. Like, just push. And I know for me, when I was younger, that's how I lived. I didn't even really worry about my body. I just drug her along. And I think as I've gotten older and I've gotten more settled, it's like, no. You can create something. You do not have to drag yourself through this. You really can make space for yourself. I love what you said about fear and excitement and the kind of how they're related. There's a quote, and I don't know who said it, but basically, like, I don't know if it's fear, but something like this. It's like, is excitement without the breath. So it's like when you're like, I know me, I'm like, if you're holding your breath. So they are very related when we breathe through the fear, because I know I asked you many times, I'm like, am I just afraid? Am I stalling? There's a difference when you are stalling. At least I know my house is never as clean ever as it is when I'm stalling, right? I have some tells, but there's the difference between stalling because we're afraid and really, like, again, just allowing ourselves to acclimate into this new energy first before we just go jamming ourselves across, the line and just say, oh, well, we'll figure it out when we get over there.
Yeah. It's amazing how much stuff you can get done when you're trying not to do something else.
Right. That's my tell always. Yeah. When I'm doing 20 million, when I'm cleaning out a closet that I never look at, then I'm like, oh, what's going on here?
And then all the anxiety that builds up from doing that. I do that with if I don't know, when a bill comes in the mail and I'm like, I'm not ready to pay that yet. And then instead of just like going to do it, or like your taxes, right? Like just go do your taxes. It takes like not that long compared to how much time you spend worrying about doing your taxes.
It's so true.
And then also like I think you also, or I do, I go, well, I have to do like the steps. What steps do I have to do? And I have to do this before I do this. And you have to learn to walk before you run. And instead of just being like, I don't know, and you're great at this, of doing it, like, I'm going to do it my own way. And so this is the way I want to do it. So I'm going to do it on my own terms. And that's helpful
It's not
too.
easy, and I've gotten better at being really much more confident in that. But everything in the first part of my life was like I needed to do it somebody else's way, and I just have realized in lots of very interesting fashions that doesn't really work out for me. There's something maybe I can take from what the way somebody else is doing it, like, ooh, that's a really interesting approach. Can I, maybe I can, take a piece of that, but trying to do it. And I think all of us, again, I know a lot of people are probably going to be listening saying, I'm not creative, I'm not an artist, I'm not, but we're all doing something that's never quite been done before. The way you're packaged on package, it's something different. So this idea that there's a handbook that says, oh, do this, this, this. Oh, start your say you're going to do a podcast, start it right away. No, wait, don't stall for not even stall, but don't take two, almost there attempts and then fall on your face. And then yet what's funny too, Rich, is like then when we did get started, we were off. It was like we were both on a roll. I think we probably put down 30 episodes pretty quick together.
Did you say that you're going, like this season will be you'll have your 100th episode?
Yeah, we'll be into the 100th, I think, because I think we're in the 80.
Wow.
At least 80, if not in over 80 already.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So we got to have we'll have a live party, which is one of the things we want to talk about is, again, most people get this impression of me that I'm not shy and I don't get nervous. This is what people think, and everything just is a rainbow for me, which not necessarily. You should have seen me yesterday. I was having my own little moment in my little private Sunday afternoon. However, I think that, again, as an artist or as anything, we can get really comfortable. Like, I'm like, oh, let's just keep going what we're already doing. I know I'm familiar. I know how to do that. And then you come along every season and go, Stace, what about? And then you throw out some ideas and I go, oh my God. I freak out a little bit at first. And then I take a breath, kind of like this theme of like, okay, let it settle. And it's like, ooh, what would that be like and look like to push, not again, maybe take a step, maybe not push is the right word, but to take a step beyond what we've already created together, because art doesn't have a lot of fear and rules and right. It wants to it wants to play. It's like, ooh, we tried that. Let's try this. And so this live episode, which I don't know, Richard, if I ever thought we would do live on this podcast. So you have broken me out into something completely out of a kind of an unspoken rule that I thought, well, I'm not doing live.
And she goes live every day, which I think is hilarious. But for some reason, there's that safety net, because you think what's going to happen, like the scariest thing is going to happen when you're live talking to someone.
And I really worry too, to be honest with you, and this is me being very vulnerable in this culture of like people say the wrong thing or something just go. I get nervous about, because I would never ever want to say something that would isolate me or be hurtful in any regard. But we're human; we can't avoid it. Even if I think, oh well, if we're just if we're taping something that's going to somehow keep me safe, that's not actually true. But part of me believes that to be true.
There's a little, yes, because there have been episodes that we've taped that you have been like, do you think we should take that out?
Oh, that might need to go.
Yeah, but I think that can happen. People can interpret things in many different ways, and it's I don't want to say it's dangerous, but putting out anything out there can backfire. But I think you do it, and that is something to be celebrated.
Yeah, and you do it knowing, right? Like that's kind of part of living. It's like we just don't know moment for moment. And I don't know about you, but I think this is why you and I are such a good partnership together, but it's like I always want to lead from the heart. So even if I go a little astray, always grounded into some intention of trying again to bring love and curiosity and my own like flavor of like surrender and allowing to the world. And the more we are willing to show all of us, each other and ourselves, that like we don't have to be perfect in order to be out here doing this, then we just ripple that bravery out. Just like when you're like, oh, Stace, let's coach some people on season 3.
I just have the feeling that this season is going to be like the most adventurous, the most fun, there's going to be so much learning from, I think, from you and me to the people that are listening and watching, because we've recorded 2 episodes now?
Yeah,
already, 2, and I have cried during both of them while you're recording. Like it's one of those things where like I get goosebumps talking about it because I know how good it is. Like I can just feel how like because people are going to really relate and learn from everyday people, and it's all.
Let's talk about this. So
okay.
Yeah, let's get into this because I have a feeling people are like, well, first of all, I bet there'll be people listening like, there is no way I'm letting Stacey Andon or anybody else coach me. We're not live. Again, we're not doing it live on purpose because I also believe in the safety of a person and whatever they're going through first and foremost. So to me, there is not like not that I wouldn't coach somebody live, that could maybe, I don't know, season 4 adventures. However, there is something about allowing there to be space and doing it in a way that, again, why are we doing it in the first place? Like you said, there's so much common experience. Your experience, my experience might be a little bit different in terms of like whatever we're actually dealing with. However, at the heart of being afraid to follow our own heart, at the heart of, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose all my money. I mean, this is one of the biggest fears on the planet, right? Following our heart is going to be directly in opposition of like actually being able to live as a human on this planet. And so these themes keep emerging that you and I are hearing in this. And it's about listening for your own theme, or like where, again, maybe your circumstances are different, but there's something in there that maybe somebody says, or I mean, again, we have some amazing people with such wisdom here. Because coaching at the heart isn't about anybody telling anybody what to do. It's about creating that longer exhale and that pause so that we can just hear. Sometimes there's a really clear step, and sometimes there's not. Sometimes it's just like, okay, we're in some messy transition right now. We just need to hold the space for it.
Yeah. And I love that you're doing business coaching and like life coaching, because it's there's such transition, and there has been over the last couple of years, and in lives there's always crazy stuff happening. And so this is a great space to feel like there's a safety net. I think with like we're recording them, but when they go out, it's only audio for that part of it, which also gives like another barrier for people, like
a
the goal is to
anonymity to the people that are bearing their hearts to all of us.
Yeah, because it's not just like we're here to make, like, this isn't Jerry Springer. Like, we're not here to make you look bad or, and so.
No, absolutely. And to be honest with you, it's interesting because I've been coaching, probably officially, with a title 10 years, but probably most of my life has been kind of in this space. But it has even brought up my own nerves, right? Because now all of a sudden you have this other entity that is listening and making decisions about, how she said that or what she said or whatever the case may be. And like, I absolutely have found myself kind of in a place again, like having to do my own work around like being okay with it being imperfect, being okay with, again, this is a snapshot. This isn't everybody's whole life. This isn't the entire coaching experience. This is a small piece of what in this moment looks like and how we're navigating it. And that can talk about fears. It's like I said to you the other day, you're like nudging me gently over the edge and letting me be in there, but not in a way that is so scary, because I think, again, whenever we take a leap of faith, if it's too much too soon, then we shut down.
And keeping it authentic to you. Like, it's not anything that you don't do or you're not actually comfortable with. It's just kind of putting you in a different setting to do it, sort of.
This is true. I might have coached thousands of people at this point, all sorts of life, business, you name it, big thing, all the things. So part of me is like, I can coach at any moment on any topic. And then it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, the people that are showing up for these interviews are coming with their hearts open. And I mean, the one that I'm hoping goes out next week, I'm not sure what order you're putting them in, but the one I'm hoping that, like, it started off and I was like, my jaw dropped and I just thought, like, oh, like, people are finding you that need you in that moment. And it's so amazing for me to be able to, like, watch that unfold. And you do it so well and so, like, gracefully with them, and you give them space and you give them, like, practical tips. It's not anything that they don't know, but sometimes you need that reassurance and you need that best friend to, like, nudge you along too, and like, hey, have you ever thought of this? And they're like, oh yeah.
When you're going through something, I had a client years ago say to me, it's like being in the jar. When you're in the jar, you can't read the label on the outside, right? And so you need somebody. I also equate it to, like, have you ever gone whitewater rafting before? I went years ago. And I just remember there's, like, categories, and you could die. Like, 3 people had died on the rapids that we were the week before we were there. And I'm freaking out because I don't want to die. And so the people that we were with, we decided to pay a guide, right? An expert, somebody who knew their way around the rapids, so that they could say, okay, this is how to handle this and how to do this. They didn't do it for us, but they were this kind of, again, this resource kind of holding our hand, especially when things got a little scary. They were right there with us, like, again, just providing expertise, providing, like, a little hand holding. And that's what I think about coaching. Everybody on the planet could use a life coach at any time. It's not about the coach fixing them or solving it for them. It's really about having that support system. Sure, you could figure it out yourself. I absolutely believe people can. They don't have to, but when you can have somebody, make it easier. Like going down the rapids, freaking for your life, versus paying that extra money and saying, oh my gosh, right? I have time to take care of my nervous system. I have space to explore this. Nobody's pushing at me. I think we create results so much more, I don't want to say natural. It just feels better. It's like, if you could choose A or B, why wouldn't you choose the one that feels like, I always want to feel better? That's my door.
Well, and it's always helpful to have a team when you're during a big job, and life is a big job. So why not have a team?
Ooh, that is the quote of the episode so far, my friend.
Life is a big job.
So I also want to talk about, so you and I have been talking a lot about elevating, right, our business and all these things. And I wanted to give some ideas, because people might be, maybe they're making a change in their own life, or maybe they're about to write something, or maybe they're going to create, I don't know, some music or poetry or whatever it is that is out there. Tell me what you think, like, when you think about elevating, what comes to mind? Like, how would you describe it for yourself?
I feel like it's like, what's one thing, I did this when I first started my show, was like, I would watch them and go, what's one thing that I could change to make the next episode better? Like, it didn't have to be a complete but like one thing that I noticed in the episode that I watched that that could be different or better. And that's like, I don't know, it's like kind of puffing up your chest a little bit. Like, what's going to make you stand a little bit taller?
And I think,
yeah.
I love that. Well, what I was going to say to you, and tell me what you think about this, but I think when you're talking about elevating or expanding or whatever word we're all using, the energy of that, we have to be willing. Like what we're doing might be okay. There might be nothing wrong with however you're doing your show, doing your work in the world. And right, whatever it is that wants to kind of, again, challenge us around our edges is asking probably to maybe break something that isn't necessarily broken. Like a lot of times, like, oh, that was a flop. Okay, well, I'm not going to do that again. To me, elevation's not like, oh, there's a flop. No, it's like things might be sailing around smoothly, and now all of a sudden we're just going to put a splash in the water to see what happens.
Yeah.
Right? We don't know exactly what the outcome is going to be. It's experimental.
Yeah, that's so true.
I don't know. How do you get comfortable doing that? Is it the one thing? Is that how it keeps it kind of feeling like doable for you? I'm curious.
I go back and forth because sometimes I just like wake up with an idea and I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. Like bringing my like having another show or another podcast that I'm going to start was really because I got a new rug. So it really depends.
You got a new rock, like a crystal, and you're like, all right, now I'm doing a show?
No, a rug. Even simpler, a rug. Like a rug to put on the floor. And that's either sad or I don't know.
No,
that's
I love
where random things come from me. I'm like, oh, and it just like blew up this entire thing of like, this is what I want to do now. So
yeah. So tell me, because this is news to me as well too. You're going to be doing another show. I'm not surprised.
Breaking news.
You're going to be doing a new show. Tell us more about what this is that you're going to be creating.
Yeah. So I started Make Your Day Richer officially this year, and we're going to do Make Your Day Richer TV, which is a show that brings anybody on who has something, who's doing something, selling something, giving away, has knowledge in something that can make people's days better. And so they're going to be quick little everyday Monday through Friday starting June 10th. And they're going to be just like 15-minute segments. So every day you can like tune in and hopefully have little nuggets of how your life can be better. It's not like super Oprah-ish, like not like that.
Yeah. It's not like a deep dive into the spiritual realms of maybe, all the lifetimes. Hey, if I'm on there, maybe
when you come on, it might be, but it's just, I miss the like connection of people and meeting people. And I loved when people like would say, oh, I saw that person on your show and now I'm gonna like, I bought their CD or I did this or I'm following them. And I miss that. I miss giving people a place to come and talk about all the amazing stuff they do. So that's what we're going to do.
It reminds me of this idea that I have that no matter what our superpowers are, or our gifts are, we're going to do them. I swear. And tell me what you think about this. You could put me anywhere. You could put me, there's like a little bank down the street. You could put me at the bank teller window, or like there's a Starbucks across the street from the bank. You could put me in the Starbucks or somewhere else. And I'm going to be like asking people, right? Take a breath, like, right? Like I'm going to be doing whatever it is that I'm wired in my soul, not just as this human who's trying to figure out what to do, right? Because it's the human dilemma. It's like, oh, if we just figure it out, the soul already knows. And so to me, one of the things about you is first of all, you're a connector, but you are also like, make your day richer and rich your name and like the laughter. It's like, I know we could go through life without art and laughter. Why would we, right?
Yeah.
Like if you could have such richness to your life, like that to me, I also have a little thing about all our names are related to our life purpose. So if you haven't, nobody's been hanging around me long enough to know all about that little philosophy I got, that little nugget. I totally think that, and I know people have always thrown some names at me and be like, try to make life purpose out of my name. I can. So just the gauntlet has been put down if you want to bring that to me.
That's a podcast episode.
Totally, right? Oh, we
Yeah.
should totally do that. So I just love this idea of like it doesn't have to be complicated. Like you've been doing this your whole life and now you feel like when we're talking about elevation, doesn't mean you have to go completely and be like, "Oh, I already did X, Y, and Z." It's
Mhm.
just like, how do I want to take this gift and this whatever that wants to come through me in a different, maybe in a little bit different fashion. It's
Yeah.
not always it has to be now maybe I mean there are people out there that love to have multiple kind of career streams and things like that, but doesn't have to be. And I think that again, one of the things that to me, if you want to play with the energy of all of this, it's like how much time are you making for play, how much time are you
Mhm.
making for rest? How much time are you making to do nothing that has anything to do with, oh, I'm going to go make a thing right now. And you're just messing around, see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you and I talked about that a lot. I was working for a nonprofit for a long time, and it's the nonprofit world, so I couldn't talk about how miserable I was in that job.
Yeah.
Because, you're working for a nonprofit, so you're doing great things and you're super happy to be helping people, which I was, but I was my position in that organization just it wasn't fun. And so I left to do this and I'm having fun again. And I like everything is aligning and life is better. And I thought I want to share that. And that's
Yeah.
what
And I
happened.
think somewhere, tell me what you think about this. I think somewhere along the line, away, wherever, I know for me at like, I don't know, gosh, at like 10, I started to be like a little mini adult for a variety of reasons in my life. And I think that it was like, I need to be serious. I need to figure out my life. You need to, make money, like time for fun. Oh, on the
Mhm.
weekend after you get your chores done, you have 2 hours for fun or what. And I want to flip that. I want to say that how can we absolutely, the more fun we're having, right? The more money and the more all the other things that we're worried about actually work out in ways that, again, we can't even always imagine. Now, I'm not saying, oh, just like let's all be irresponsible. That's not the message, but the message is the more you can weave that fun into your life where maybe it already exists in smaller quantities, the more you can work with that in a way that I swear that's like the energy of like modern day miracles,
Yep.
laughter, humor, fun, play, rest, taking better care of ourselves so that we can do whatever big kind of soul, callings we have in ways that doesn't just deplete the human.
Yeah, it's
I've already
exhausting.
depleted. I've depleted the human many a time before. That doesn't work.
Yeah, it's exhausting to be alive. So like if you can have fun and everybody can have fun, it just maybe
Yeah,
is more difficult to find it for some people. I'm not sure, but
yeah.
you need to find it and
Or
one
allow
day.
yourself. Maybe it's not
Yeah.
about finding it. Well, maybe. But I also think it's like you and I have given ourselves permission to lead with it. And I tell you what, run into, and I think you might have even been with me because we used to be geographically connected at events where people are like, must be nice to be happy all the time or
Mhm.
to have your, and I was like, my life, right? Because my life
Yeah.
story is not, not you, but like my life story is not some like perfect, what have you, fairy tale. It's messy.
Yeah.
And, and here's where my life purpose comes
And
in
yes.
and we can absolutely, you can go through those things and you can absolutely have as much freaking fun
Mm.
as you can. Maybe we need to not even just as we can humanly imagine, but push. That's what you are always doing for me, Rich. It's like elevating my sense of what's possible.
Well, I mean, yes, and back at you because we meet. Stacy's my client and I'm also hers, and she's trying to
Yeah.
fix.
I am
Stacy
not fixing you at
Stacey
all.
fixed my life. Remember, like Iyama fixed my life. But you've helped so much, like with that, and like
Yeah, the end.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that and then also for me, well, yeah, like what is the story that you keep telling yourself about your life?
yeah.
It took a long time because I like same thing, awful childhood, awful stories,
Hmm.
and they can be part of it, but that's not really the story anymore.
No.
And
I
that
think
freed me a lot too.
that doesn't allow us when we go to try to expand or kind of go into these elevated, like, again, curious spaces. So often, to your point, the stories is what can hold us back. So I think that's why a coach or somebody on the outside, right, can challenge that, because they're not living. We're all living a story. A coach is living a story too, but it could be different. And we're trained to be able, again, to see when you're working with somebody else. It's so easy. I always laugh when I'm with my coach, because I'm like, oh, of course, of course, of course. But it's like when you're in the, it doesn't matter what human you are. You can have a gazillion amount of dollars too. And this is what people think. Oh, when you have all this money, somehow no, people can be miserable, and people can have just as many challenges, if not more. It really is, how much do you let the story control and tell, like, the story of your life? And was it, I don't know, somebody said, like, well, actually, there was Anne Lamott. I don't know if you know her, she's a writer, but she was talking about writing stories and talking about people, like if you were autobiographical, right? And people getting upset about them being mentioned. And it's like, well, if you wanted to have a better story, me to tell a better story, maybe treat me a little bit better in
Be a
life,
better
right?
person. Yeah. That's funny.
Anyway, okay. I have to say, I had notes for today, which is, we know what we're doing is
we're professionals.
something new, because I have notes, and I just making sure. Oh, there's one more thing that I want to say as you're doing something new and you're stepping out, whether you're taking a little leap or whatever the case may be, is it's very easy, and you and I have both talked about this with each other. It's very easy sometimes to keep saying yes to things that we really don't want to anymore, because we still have time, or it's somebody that we're connected to and we've been saying yes and what have you. I think there's something really, really sacred about giving ourselves a lot more space. It feels uncomfortable because we're like, but we're not really full with the new thing yet, right? So we have time or energy, or we need the money, or whatever we're saying to ourselves. I think the more space we can say, yeah, you know what? No, that's, unless it's really aligning with what this energy is that you're kind of stepping into. It's almost like if you're leaving the door, like the old door, the old story door open, and you're back and forth, and again, a little transition, that's normal. However, if you're kind of still hanging out there because it feels more comfortable, I say that maybe you need to close a couple of doors. I don't love this. This is not the fun part for me, but I know I need that sometimes. It's like, all right, Stace, close the door.
Yeah, because it's comfortable. That feeling of being comfortable is so nice when it's in your bed under covers.
Yep.
Sometimes comfortable could also be a really negative thing too.
Well, it might not bring out, right? What I know, Brene Brown has a famous quote about this. It's like, you can't stay in your I don't know if it's like be vulnerable or make great art or something and be in your comfort zone. There's something she said. It's this idea of, again, I want to say you can still create safety. Like, you don't have to, again, have this nervous system that's all out of whack. And the discomfort doesn't mean it's not in alignment. It doesn't mean it's not for you. It means it's new. And so, of course, when it's new, it doesn't feel like that same pair of shoes. I have a pair of sneakers right now that I need to get rid of. They're old, they're smelly, but I keep putting them on because they're comfortable.
It's some movie or TV show or something that we were watching, and it's a line that I like to use when I first meet people or see people, and I ask them what's new and different instead of what's new and different, and it makes people think of an actual answer as opposed to I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. Oh, I never ask people. I always say, what's the best thing that's happened to you today or this week? And people are like, wait, what? I don't know. I can tell you all the things I'm unhappy about, but something that I am actually tickled my little toe or something, I don't have no idea. And again, that's intentionality, right? If we're intentionally like, how can we make our day richer? How can we have some more fun? Yeah, we're not going to skip over the being human part, and we can make this so much more enjoyable. The hardness of life, which we've all experienced, to me, I don't want us to stay in that default. And I think that that's what season 3 is about. It's like, let's break out of those places, like whichever, whether we're individually carrying them, whether it has to do with conversations we're having. How can we gently and lovingly break out of that so that we're not 5 years from now, 10 years from now, just Groundhog Day, right? I want to live and live and live. I want to taste, I want to savor, and again, it doesn't have to be some big, grand, expensive gestures. I just want to know at the end of my life that I didn't come so close but pull back, because again, it's like you walk with your fear instead of letting fear like be the line leader. Which makes me think about being a little kid in school, and the line leaders were always the one, don't do that, Stacey, and da, 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 da. I want to be in the back goofing off.
Of course.
Right.
I have questions for you about the season, so people know.
Let's do it.
So it kicks off today.
Yep.
And
here
then
we are.
When is it? Or what? I don't even know what day it is. Mondays. Are episodes every Monday? Every what day?
I generally, yes, Monday. I like Mondays. I started season 1 on Thursdays because Thursday is my favorite day of the week. But what I find is, at least then when I thought about it, again, I'm consulting my intuitive lines of wisdom. It's like Monday allows, like, let's say we drop a new episode, then you have all week. Maybe you're out for a walk, you're driving to work, you have that time that you can put aside and carve out between now and like next weekend, because weekends are busy. I don't know how many people are listening. I'm not listening to podcasts on the weekend. They're more of like when I'm in the car going somewhere or what have you during the week. So to me, I wanted it to be something that people could really bite into at some point, but not feel like, oh my gosh, I need to listen to this before, the week, try to jam it in. I'm all about let's go slow. Mondays.
Okay. And it's also not going to all be like the coaching sessions. You're still going to be doing solo episodes. You're going to be talking to people. And so it's not all going to be heaviness.
No. And I'm not about a 3-hour episode. There are people that I love, and they have I'm like, Stacey is just not, it's not my jam. And so I do really like, especially if it's an episode where it's just me, it's like, I want you to have a life coach or an intuitive, you're in your pocket, 10, 15 minutes, you get something that you can use that isn't going to consume an entire long period of time, because we don't need, I don't think, I mean, again, that's a different style. It's not my style. My style is, what's the one thing that can help you today? And how can we deliver it in such an easeful way, where you're not feeling like you have to read a novel, listen to a novel on Audible or whatever, in order to get the juiciest parts of whatever it is we're talking about.
Yeah. I brought a clip. Can we play the clip?
Yeah, let's do it. I have no idea. I feel like I'm on like one of the talk shows where they're like, I have a clip, and the person goes, I have no idea what it is.
It's the clip from hopefully next week's episode.
Okay.
It's really good, and y'all should tune in.
All right, here we go.
Because it's a coaching session, it's just audio, so don't be scared that something's wrong.
Okay. Is there an intention? Is something come through, or something that you want? Where place do you want to start today?
Yeah, I feel like I made a mistake in getting married. I'm trying to navigate through this.
I just want to hold space for that for a minute. Go ahead.
Just thought things would be different. I feel like things I've asked have been my feelings, things that bother me the most, that I've asked of my spouse have been disregarded. And I'm worth more than that. My feelings do matter.
Absolutely. Can you say a little bit about mistake? Because you're being you're judging, you got like, right, like some things around like this is a mistake and what have you. And I'm curious what's
I
underneath
just
that.
feel like I should have known better. I should have.
I mean, I just like one, I just want to like I want to grab every person after you're done and just hug them and thank them because I mean that's how everybody has shown up and that like you make everybody feel like they are talking to their best friend about some of the most serious stuff they're going through and I can't even like explain what it feels like to be able to like witness what you do and I'm so glad that you're showing other people how amazing you are in this realm.
Thank you. It's, as I said at the top of this, it's freaking me out a little bit. I mean, it's intimate, right? It's not
Mhm.
even just that's a very intimate container. And so to do it in a way that honors the person. And again, it's not like, I think a lot of people think, oh, you know exactly what to say. It's like, no, it's this space where we're holding and getting curious and giving people two places to push off of, because sometimes, again, I might say I don't have any stake in like a belief or whatever, so I might say something like, oh, it sounds like you're judging or something like that, and the person comes back and says, actually no, and it's like, that's coaching, which is very different than when you're getting advice from a friend or what have you, because it's neutral,
Mhm.
right, as neutral place. And I have to say, I've had this gift my whole life where people have told me all their deepest, darkest secrets, always. And I just thought, oh, everybody just opens up to people, obviously. Not necessarily the thing. I can be in the line of the coffee and somebody say something like that to me. I know it sounds crazy that happens, but it does happen to me. And so it is something that I always want to hold with such reverence, because for somebody to trust me in that regard, I always want them to know that there's no judgment, and that whatever it is, whatever you're thinking or feeling, has a space to be loved and seen. And probably because I've been through such my own crazy show of my life, that I don't know, that just developed an empathy for me and an ability, I think, to I'm not the person, like, if you read any of my astrology things, I think there's something that said one time that I'm always in for the deep conversation or something. It's like, yeah, if you want to ask me, I won't not talk about the weather, but if you really want to go there with somebody, that's one of the gifts that I do offer. And it's been very obviously, nobody has seen it before. So now we're going to show the world, what is it like to be in a place that you can be safe enough to really go there with yourself. It's not about me. It's going there with yourself
Um,
and allowing that. Again, sometimes you get clarity right away, but sometimes it's just about being present. And I mean, as a coach, who doesn't want to have a beautiful little bow, but it doesn't work out always, the bow. So as a coach, especially when I was younger doing this, I really had to practice letting go of that too. Like, this isn't about you. This is about them and their experience. And again, you develop that and work with that over time. So it's a ongoing practice, I think, for anybody doing coaching or this kind of work.
well, I'm proud of you for doing it, for taking that jump, for listening to me to see what
Hey,
it
hey,
is. Yeah,
nudge, nudge.
we're in season 3. I think I've been talking about this since the middle of season 1.
I
So
think so. I actually think before, with like some of the beginnings that didn't make it in the first two, like pre whatever we want to call it, like, you were like, oh, start coaching people, and I was like,
mhm,
all right, not ready for that, which is a really great thing to maybe even to end on today. It's like, if you're absolutely feeling like you're not ready, you're not going to be late or miss it, right? Like, I remember saying to myself, to you, and or saying it to me and to you, it's like, let's just I just want to kind of put my toe in this water, right? The
Mhm.
podcasting water and what have you. And then we'll go from there. Like, that's okay too. Like, it doesn't have to be, you might have beautiful plans for your life 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Don't have to rush and do everything in this moment. Like,
Yeah.
everything will unfold in such a beautiful way when you trust yourself and don't try to be like, I could have said yes to you, but it wouldn't have felt true for me. And so to say no then has allowed, right, this space for you and I to go even deeper together in these creative endeavors, and to be able to bring something that I think is so beautiful and meaningful in a way that honors you, your creative muse, my creative muse, and the people that are coming in and trusting us to do this together as well too.
Yeah. I can't wait until this, like, to watch this all unfold and come out, and I can't wait to hear what people say, because it's different than
It
what a
is
lot of
different.
people are doing, and I think it's really fun.
Well, thank you always for that. Is one of the things that I do not want to just stay in my comfort zone and stay in the same thing over and over again just because I know I'm good. I know I'm good at it. I would rather flail around and learn and be kind of in that beginner mindset again, because every time we do that, I don't know, I literally feel it's like the Grinch's heart. It's like, and the heart grew, right? Your
Mhm.
creative heart just continues. I think we think, oh, yeah, I'm in a good sweet spot. But the capacity is infinite for that to expand. And we have this kind of human container that, again, wants to kind of put the, you know, constraints on it. But the more and more we just allow, it's like a chia pet. It's a cross between a chia pet and the Grinch.
Well, so that's good.
There you have it. I mean, there's some wisdom for you on a Monday afternoon.
I'm going to Amazon to see if there is a chia pet in the shape of the Grinch, because I bet there is.
Oh, I bet there is. Okay, so
Mhm.
I challenge all of us, whether you're listening to this live or you're watching or listening later to the replay, let your heart grow another inch in this season and next
Mhm.
season. Just keep challenging it in a way that, again, stays grounded to what's in your soul, but not so much that it's limited by the stories and the fears that we can absolutely kind of put around us to protect us, but they don't really serve us in the long term for all that chia petness.
And I hope we do some follow-ups with some with guests
Yes.
too, because they're going
Yes.
through some really life-altering things, and it'll be interesting later on in the season, or maybe early next season, whatever, to
Yeah.
catch up with them.
I'm agreeing. And also, something not on my notes, but I know you and I have said that if anybody listening has an idea, wants to be a part of what we're doing, wants to share something, make a request for a topic, we are always super, super, super welcoming of any feedback and anything that, whether, like I said, whether you want to get on and be coached, or you want to, you have a question you want us to speak to, or you want me to speak to, or somebody that you're like, Stacey, you've got to get on and do an interview, which that's the other thing. We didn't even talk about the interviews. What I love, what everybody says to me when we do interviewing, and I know you know because you're producing it right a lot, they're like, there's no questions.
Mhm.
Nope. I don't want a script. I do not want anybody to get on and say, this is my answer for that. How boring is it? I want you to imagine you're sitting with us, we're at a coffee shop, and we're having a juicy conversation that is completely spontaneous in the fact that, again, we're really speaking just from our hearts
Yeah.
and whatever the topic is. So that's another big thing for me, because as I've been being a guest out there and looking at how other people do it, I understand that model, but it's just, again, you got to follow your own path here, and that's how we do it through and through with our guests as well too.
Yeah, and that's why every day is enchanting.
This is true. You're going to have enchantment every day if you don't have a plan. It's going to absolutely surprise you, and sometimes it's going to bite you in places you don't want to be bit, but you'll enjoy it at some point.
Sometimes you want to be bit there. We don't know. That's also no judgment.
That's another show and another topic. Yeah. All right. Well, I am so glad. And okay, so let's do a little plug for my guest here, Richard Wilmore. If people want to work with you, they are working on a podcast. Maybe they want a guest, right? They don't want a podcast. They just they have something beautiful that they want to share. How do they get in touch? How do they work with you? What are you doing?
I mean, I'm on all the things that you need to be on, or just go to makeyourdayricher.com. If I was a better producer, I would have had a Chiron with my stuff on it, but I don't. So
we'll put it in the show notes. Yes. We'll have it all in the show notes. And if you want to be on your new TV show, this 15 minutes, you have something you want to share with the world, then go to your website and find out all the information there.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Who doesn't want to start a Monday like this?
I love you. Congratulations.
Love you. Thank you. Thank you for all the brilliance, all the behind the scenes, everything that you do.
It wouldn't be anything without you. So
thank you.
I'm excited. Congrats. Bye.
Bye. Yes, we're leaving. Are you doing? And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Get all the delicious details and links we've mentioned in the show notes below. If you'd like to spend more time nurturing your own soul calling without skipping over the fun and truth of being a human, join me in the forest, my private community where we practice letting our wild hearts lead us on the most fantastical life journeys ever. Learn more at my website, staceyandon.com. Plus a special shout out for all the production and editing of this show by Richard Wilmore of Make Your Day Richer. He's amazing. That's it for now, love. Here's to living a life enchanted. See you soon.